Good morning. Today is Friday, February 12th, and we are looking at the 43rd chapter of the book of Genesis, the continuation of the story of Joseph, the dreamer, the guy who's in charge of all of Egypt, Pharaoh's right hand man. And the brothers return to Joseph. So in 43, we begin the story with the idea that this famine is prevailing upon them. So Jacob says to his sons, "Go buy some more grain from Egypt. They have more." And they say, "No, we can't go back unless we bring Benjamin. The man told us, he." So Jacob says, "Well, why'd you tell him you had this younger brother?" He said, "Well, the guy was really inquisitive about our lives." So we get a little more details about their initial visit. Apparently Joseph, who they didn't know was Joseph, Zaphanath Paneah, was inquiring of them, very, very nosy into their personal lives. "Is your father alive? Is he well? Who are your brothers? Who are your kindred?" So he asks them a lot of questions. He wants to know because he recognizes, obviously this is Joseph trying to recognize his brothers. Well, Jacob's not so easily convinced that he needs to send Benjamin there. However, Judah lobbies on their behalf. We're hungry. We need this grain. We could have been there and back twice when we've been arguing about this whole thing with Benjamin. You need to let us go. I will be assurance for his welfare. Judah says this to his father, Jacob Israel. So Jacob relents and lets his sons take Benjamin along with a gift of the choicest fruits and double the money, because the money was on top of the grain when they got back, and so they need to pay for the grain they took initially and then pay for the additional grain that they'd like to purchase. So they take double the money, they take a gift of choice fruits, and they bring Benjamin as well, because I think Jacob's worried that this man, Pharaoh's right-hand man, wants to keep Benjamin there and doesn't want to lose any of his sons, and so he's trying to bribe or give a gift to assure that his son will not be taken. So they set off. Again, 10 brothers, right? Because now they have Benjamin with them. Simeon's in prison. Joseph is incognito. So, this is what happens when they get to Egypt. They stood before Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the steward of his house, "Bring the men into the house and slaughter an animal and make ready for the men to dine with me." So he basically does what the prodigal son's father does: slaughter the fatted calf. They've brought my brother to me. And then it says, when Joseph laid his eyes upon Benjamin, the son of his own mother, his true brother from both, they're not all true brothers, they all have different mothers. He was so overcome with emotion that he had to leave their presence and go off to another room and weep, and then wash his face and return to them. He wanted to keep the ruse going, but he was just so overcome with emotion. And it's not just, I think, tenderness and affection towards Benjamin. Would you imagine what this must have felt like for Jacob? He has these brothers whom he loves that betrayed him. So there's a lot of mixed emotions going on here. This is a very rich story. It is a very rich tale, and it's very human. They feel like because they've been taken to Joseph's house instead of the palace, they're like, uh-oh, we're in trouble. So they're really worried about all this stuff, like we offended someone, we did something wrong. So they get very concerned, and they explain to the steward, when we got to the lodging the last time, we found our coins at the top. We brought extra coins to, number one, pay for the grain we had last time that must have been an oversight. And no, the steward says, no, your God, he's Jacob's guy. So he's like, no, your God must have restored those. I got your money. Your God must have restored those coins to you. Give me your sacks again. It's all good. and we'll bring you into this place. And they gave them water to wash their feet and took care of their camels. And they're in there feasting. And they're finally, Simeon has been returned to them from the dungeon. They're finally like, well, you know what? Maybe this is okay. And really what this is there's a mention in here that Joseph goes into a different place to have his meal. But everything is taken from his table. Like, he's the main guy, so he has the best choices, things at his table. Everything is taken from his table. And Benjamin gets 5 times as much as the other brothers do because he loves Benjamin the most. And they served him by himself and them by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with him by themselves, because Egyptians could not eat with Hebrews, for that's an abomination to the Egyptians. So the Egyptian people were somewhere else, and Joseph somewhere else. And when they were seated before him, then they all come together somehow. So they're seated before Joseph, and they're seated in birth order. And it says, the men looked at one another in amazement. The portions were taken to them from Joseph's own table, but Benjamin's portions were 5 times as much as any of theirs. So they drank and were merry with him. They're relaxed now. They're thinking, this is going to be all right. This guy is he's blessing us. Okay, so this part in here is where they're seated in birth order. It amazes them because how does this guy, Pharaoh's right-hand man, that's sitting at this other table in this presence of these brothers, know their birth order? They are seated in their birth order from oldest to youngest. How does he know? The steward is a part of the scheme. There's a scheme going on. I think Joseph's just trying to nudge them in the right direction, just to let them know, there's going to be a big reveal here. It's coming. But so that's where they are, and they're feasting together. And this, what the author doesn't say here, but this is significant because all 12 brothers are sharing a meal together. They're all there together, all 12 of them. They don't know it, but they're beginning to see what's going to happen. So next chapter, tomorrow, will be the rest of this story. So I hope that you will join me tomorrow for next chapter will be the continuation of the story, but it's not over yet. So let's keep reading in Genesis, and get this great story of Joseph and his brothers and this reunion that's about to happen. God bless you.